So, J. Ruud, what lovable book are we talking about today?
Well, Stacey Margaret Jones, I'll give you a hint. Pixie.
Have I read it?
Yes.
Dang. I'll need more than that. Welcome to Between the Covers, the weekly podcast in which author J. Ruud makes the case for one lovable book from his carefully curated list of the 100 most lovable novels in the English language. And I, author Stacey Margaret Jones, his wife, ask him about that. But first he asked me to identify the novel. It's always a surprise. I don't know what it is going in. So I'll need another hint.
Okay, hint number 2. Thomas Washushk.
Oh, it's a Louise Erdrich novel.
Ha ha ha.
Pixie. I've read so many of hers, so I don't know. Okay, give me the last hint.
Last hint. House Concurrent Resolution 108, the Termination Bill.
Is it one of the more recent ones?
You could say that.
Okay, I don't know. I cannot remember the title. Is it the one she autographed for us?
Yes.
In San Antonio?
It is.
Okay. Well, I guessed it then.
Well, it has a title.
I know, but I don't remember the title. But I know I can pick. The front of the book is like purple.
Yeah, the title of the book is The Night Watchman.
That's it. It's The Night Watchman by Louise Erdrich.
Yes, it is.
All right. So I did pretty good because I got the author on the second clue.
You did.
All right. All right.
And the first
awesome.
clue, I didn't expect you to get anything from that.
Actually, when you said the second one paired with the first one, then I was like, that's Louise Erdrich because I remember a Pixie character.
Yeah.
And of course, you read that recently because I didn't know if it was some of the other earlier ones that I had read, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So
she'd been around for a while.
She is prolific. All right.
And his, their books are high quality.
They're really, every time you open one up, you're going to love every page of the adventure, even though it's upsetting and horrible. Yeah. It's still brilliant and perfectly imagined and well-crafted. Always well-crafted.
Yeah. Love Medicine was her first, first novel, which I considered,
Oh, you did?
For this list.
I read The Beat Queen in college, which I loved.
Basically the sequel to Love Medicine.
That was a fascinating novel. I really liked that one.
But Love Medicine won the National Book Critics Circle Award in 1984. It was the only first novel that ever won that award.
Oh, my gosh.
Plague of Doves, which she came out with in 2009, was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize.
Okay, I haven't read that.
In 2012, her novel The Roundhouse won the National Book Award for fiction. A few years later, her novel La Rose won her second National Book Critics Circle Award. And Night Watchman finally won her the Pulitzer Prize in 2021.
We read another novel of hers recently, and it was like her books, like characters will come in and be minor characters that were major characters in other novels. Like that's kind of the experience if I'm not anywhere near an Erdrich completist, but if you read a lot of her novels, she's exploring something new with somebody new, and yet there'll be just this kind of whisper of the familiar to kind of guide you. It's a wonderful experience, I think. Yeah. And it's so inventive because there's no reason you can't you're writing about the same people in the same time and similar places. There's no reason somebody can't walk through, who's been the main character before. Yeah. Like, I just think that's fascinating. It makes her books kind of joyful to read because you're like, oh, I remember him. Awesome. All right. Well, when did this come out? Night Watchman?
2020.
Okay. Right, because we were in San Antonio at a writers' conference.
Right.
and half the writers didn't show up because of COVID.
Yeah.
And she was there.
Like the week later, everything closed down.
Yeah, right. And she was there, and she signed the book for us, and she was so gracious.
She read from
this
book.
Yes.
Which is maybe the reason that I picked this one.
Oh, well, that makes it lovable to you.
Yeah, exactly. There's a personal thing there. But also, of course, it did with a Pulitzer Prize.
Yes, yes. I mean, I think it was widely acclaimed.
Yeah, yeah.
But, all right. So who else loves this book besides the Pulitzer Committee?
Well, it's hard to... It's so recent, it hasn't had a chance to make it on a lot of lists.
The librarians list and the Norwegians list.
Yeah, but actually, the Reader's Digest came out with a list of the greatest books of all time since this appeared and put it as number 66 on that list.
Awesome.
Also, the Center for Fiction has a list called 200 Books That Shaped 200 Years of Literature.
Ooh.
And it's on that list.
That's wonderful. All right. Well, she comes to mind for me a lot of times when I'm talking to people about the Laura Ingalls Wilder books, because I think those books are still meaningful children's books. But I would generally recommend to read her children's books about Native children first. Not in answer to them, but start with that frame and then introduce the pioneers, right?
Yeah.
Because the Native children were here first.
Yeah.
And then when you see the way that the Ingalls family, relates to the Native people, you have an informed response to it from that perspective, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to get off track, but you can't really talk about her without talking about her whole oeuvre. I mean, her whole list, right?
Yeah.
Of credits, because she's worked so widely and
and
published so widely.
She has a children's books.
And I recently read a book of her poetry as well.
Yeah.
So she is prolific, as I said. Awesome.
Yeah. Also, but that history is important to keep in mind. After we first read this, I wrote a review of it that I put on my website. And the day that I wrote...
jruud.com.
The day that I wrote the review was June 25th, and I realized it was the 144th anniversary of the Battle of Little Bighorn. Custer's Last Stand, which was the culmination of his career, which was responsible for the slaughter of hundreds of Native Americans. And his defeat became the excuse for the slaughter of hundreds more.
Right. Here, you have to defend yourself. Oh, you defended yourself? Now we will slaughter you.
Yeah. And the purpose, the reason that occurred was that the government had seized, in violation of its own treaty, the Black Hills, which had been promised by treaty to the Native Americans because they were sacred to them.
Yes.
So it's part of just a larger series of wars whose undisguised purpose was to annihilate anyone standing in the way of the westward advancement of white Americans. Right.
And I just actually, because it was Indigenous Peoples Day, or as in South Dakotans say, Native American Day, a podcast I listened to called National Parks After Dark, something like that. They do a lot of kind of crime and ghost stories about national parks. And they did an episode on Mount Rushmore for Indigenous Peoples Day, because, of course, there are many issues, right?
Well, yeah.
And so they talked about the sacredness of the Black Hills. And so.
And, it's also interesting that Borglum, who did the carving, was a member of the KKK.
Yeah, he worked on the Georgia monument.
Yeah, Stone Mountain.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it was a very interesting episode, and it's funny to come up now with when you're talking about the sacred Black Hills. Pahasapa, is that what they call the Black Hills? I think so. Because I just listened to a whole podcast about that and learned a lot. So, can you do the down and dirty summary?
Not without giving you some background.
So no, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, what happened was after the annihilation of so many Indians, the government basically decided, well, okay, killing them outright makes us look bad. And breaking every treaty that we ever made with them makes us look bad. So we're going to do something different. And the period from 1953 to 1968 among Native Americans is known as the termination period, which begins with a U.S. Senator by the name of Arthur V. Watkins. Louise Erdrich gives you all this background in the introduction to the book. Okay. Watkins was a senator from Utah who was a Mormon, and like other Mormons at the time, associated Native Americans with the evil Lamanite tribe in the Book of Mormon. And he was appointed to the Senate Interior Committee's Subcommittee on Indian Affairs in 1947. So he conceived of this policy aimed at terminating the special status of Indian tribes under U.S. law. In 1953, he and his allies introduced a bill concurrently in the House and the Senate that was passed as House Concurrent Resolution 108, and it aimed to eliminate any laws that treated Native Americans differently from any other U.S. citizens. So it would eliminate the BIA. It would end all federal supervision of individual Indian tribes or their resources. And of course, it was the resources that they were really interested in. And Watkins compared his bill to the Emancipation Proclamation, saying it would free Indians and entitle them to the same privileges and responsibilities as are applicable to other citizens of the United States. In other words, it would force them to assimilate, wipe out their tribal identity and their identity as Indians, and it would nullify all promises made to Indian tribes when they signed those treaties. And it became known as the Termination Bill. Mm-hmm. And it specified the first 13 tribes to be terminated, one of which was the Turtle Mountain Chippewa, which is the group that's focused on here. It's her mother's band. So that's the background.
I mean, so are you going to give me the down and dirty summary now?
Yes, now I'm going to give you the down and dirty summary.
Oh, my goodness. Dear listener, please write in a strongly worded letter. I'll make sure to hand deliver it.
Well, listeners, you probably didn't know any of this stuff.
Well, I understand.
And it is the important background for the book.
Somebody says, in passing, what is your book about? That is not the answer. So give us the answer. Let's not
the down and dirty summary.
Let's not dwell on the ways in which you are failing.
Boy. So you're giving me the
no, just
trombone of doom.
No, I'll grade on the curve.
No, you can give me I don't care.
You don't care because you can't find the sound effect anymore, so you never get it anyway.
No, I know where it is now.
Okay, then. Let's go.
The novel follows two separate connected story arcs. The first one is the story of Thomas Washoe. He's the tribal chairman of the Turtle Mountain Chippewa. And he learns of the Termination Bill, and it's a kind of quest story for him. He wants to go to Washington and meet the dragon in his lair, basically, and slay the dragon, right. And save his tribe from being terminated.
He's not going to wait at home for them to do it to him.
No. Right. The other arc has to do with Thomas's completely fictional niece, whose name is Patrice Peranto, but her friends call her Pixie. She lives with her mother, her sister, and her brother Pokey, and she supports the family working at the jewel-bearing plant, which is located on the reservation, in which Thomas is the night watchman, right. Which is where the title comes from. And she also has a quest, which is to find her sister Vera,
Right.
who
I
has
remember
gone
this
to
part more.
Minneapolis and been lost. She apparently has had a child, but nobody knows where she is. So that's the
All right.
down and dirty summary.
I'll give you the Harps of Glory. That is a gift. Because you do, once you've laid the extensive ground, you do give us a nice summary of the two kind of lead characters, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember, where is the Chippewa Band reservation? Or where are they living?
The Turtle Mountain is like
Is it
all
North
the
Dakota?
way. It's North Dakota. It's way
Okay, that's what I thought.
almost to Canada.
Okay, I thought it was North Dakota, but I couldn't remember. But of course, I'm from South Dakota. If you're from the Dakotas, the big city you go to is Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So that is, Minneapolis figures in, especially East River. It sounds like one word, East River. East River, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minneapolis is your kind of orientation point for urban life.
Yeah.
So
and in the novel, there's a kind of program where you can apply for, like, if you're an Indian living there in North Dakota, you can apply to go to Minneapolis, and they give you a kind of a stipend to get there and to find a job.
right.
But they don't keep very good track of, it turns out, of
Yeah.
what happens to them after they get there.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, as we talked about earlier, Louise Erdrich has written a lot of novels. So what makes this one particularly lovable to you? I mean, what is it that's so compelling that you say this is the lovable novel of Erdrich's I'm going to put on my list?
Well, part of it, of course, is having actually seen her and heard her read from it and listened to her give the background of it. Thomas Wojcik is a stand-in for her grandfather.
Right.
Her grandfather was the tribal chairman in the early 1950s of the Turtle Mountain tribe. His name was Patrick Gourneau. And he actually did what Thomas Wojcik does in the novel.
Right.
He gets this movement going.
So it's historical fiction in a way, but it's not. Her main character isn't named for the historical figure who did this.
No.
Right, okay.
However, the senator from Utah, Arthur V. Watkins, is Arthur V. Watkins. There really was a senator who really did introduce this bill.
Yep, I'm sure there was.
And he actually runs the meeting when they get to Washington and go before the committee. Thomas has a way of, he thinks about how he's going to deal with people, and he plans it all out, and he tries to find out as much as he can about this guy, and he actually reads the Book of Mormon to see what it is he's basing his beliefs
is prepared.
on. Yeah. There's a kind of interesting little side note in the book, because there are these two Mormon missionaries who come to the reservation to try to convert the people to Mormonism. And their argument is, if you convert to Mormonism, you won't be a Lamanite anymore, and you'll start turning white. Which I'm sure, is exactly what they all want.
Yeah.
They actually make no converts.
Yeah. Well, it's that idea, like I said, you seem happy, but you're not white.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that.
Don't you want to be white?
But one of the Mormon missionaries kind of is attracted to one of the Native American girls, one of the Chippewa girls, and he's kind of having these spiritual doubts and basically getting converted to Catholicism,
right?
Rather than
that was the successful missionary.
Yeah,
that was the successful conversion effort of the Chippewa. Well, that is one of the things the themes that's always fascinating in Erdrich's fiction is the cultural Catholicism, along with the kind of more deeply rooted Native life. and how those two things converse with each other in the lives of the characters. It's really rich and fascinating and very beautiful, I think.
Yeah. And, there are people in the novel who, basically talk about the idea that Mormonism or
Latter-day.
the Latter-day Saints-ism is the only religion born in the United States.
Right.
And the Native Americans are like, we had a religion, still have a religion. It's been around for a lot longer than 150 years or whatever.
Excuse me, I beg to differ.
Yeah.
Yeah. The novel we read aloud more recently of hers dealt a lot with Catholicism, with Native peoples.
Yeah.
And that was the last report on the miracles at Little No Horse.
Yeah.
And
easy title to remember.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to remember, but it is a perfect title for what happens in the book. But that also deals a lot with sexuality.
Yeah.
And, well, I would say gender identity actually more than sexuality.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to think about, the things that she takes on.
Yeah. Yeah. That relationship between Catholicism and Native American religion runs through most of her books. I think.
Right. And that main character of the Little No Horse is a priest.
Yeah.
On the reservation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's where you get those whispers of the other characters. You're like, wait, I've met him before. He's here.
Yeah, you don't
Your
get
old
that
friends.
here because
No.
it's she hasn't set any of her novels on the Turtle Mountain Reservation.
Right.
This is the
First
and maybe only one that she does.
Because she's dealing with a specific historic incident.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating. Is that a time period in Canada? They call it the 60s scoop, where they went in and took Native children out of their family systems and put them in the schools, where they were trying to basically take their language and religion or, culture away from them.
Yeah. Well, they'd done that in the United States earlier, I think.
Right.
But that is kind of parallel to this termination bill.
Right. Where they're trying to deny the existence. The distinct existence of the people that lived here first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
It really would wipe out a way of being human that wouldn't exist if these tribes no longer had their own places.
Well, they have sovereignty.
Well, yeah, supposedly.
Which is what they're trying to terminate.
Yeah.
Is their sovereignty for their own selves on their
land.
lands.
You no longer have sovereignty. You no longer have a reservation. You no longer...
And in the way of those bills, he calls it freedom, when actually it's the opposite.
Yeah. Well, it's freedom from all the good things that you've had before.
I mean, well, let's say, on the reservation, that Welsh saying, we started with nothing and we still got most of it.
Still got most of it, yeah.
And I think, reservation life, as we've read from other authors and seen, has its own struggles. But the value of it for the people who live there, as well as all of us, honestly, is the distinct culture and language and song and observances and religion that are able to persist there because they are sovereign places.
Yeah.
You're not going to find that if everybody's dispersed to Minneapolis and Omaha and Sioux Falls and Fargo.
And all points west.
Right.
In her afterword to the book, Erdrich notes that in all, 113 tribal nations suffered the disaster of termination.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that.
1.4 million acres of tribal land was lost. Wealth flowed to private corporations, shockingly, while many people in terminated tribes died early in poverty. Not one tribe profited.
So he didn't defeat the bill.
No.
He was able to maintain the tribe.
He was able to stop them from
writing off their tribe.
From terminating
Right.
the Turtle Mountain Chippewa.
Wow. It's chilling.
So that's not the fun part of the book.
Well, it's not called the most funnable. It's called the most lovable.
That's right. The doings of Pixie or Patrice are, much lighter, I guess, for the most part. But they do, well, that's not really true. A lot of Pixie's adventures are a little lighter, but
Looking for her
sister is not. I mean, she tracks.
Don't give away too much.
I won't. But she does kind of track her down where she has been. And there's a scene where she goes into this house where there are dog collars and chains where apparently they have kept people who are basically sex slaves. It's pretty grim. But in her personal life, Pixie's got more kind of upbeat things going on.
Well, I think Pixie's storyline is more intimate in terms of she's looking for her own sister, and her own sister has this kind of personal path. And her uncle's storyline is about a broader societal movement, right? Or effort.
Yeah, you could say that.
So they're different. They're intimate and they're public.
Yeah.
But both of these impact profoundly the daily lives of Indigenous people.
Yeah.
Because Pixie's sister is subjected to being treated as non-human, or we find evidence of Native people being treated as not human.
Yeah.
And then her uncle, Pixie's uncle, is trying to fight this effort to strip them of their individual humanity as a tribe, right? Like this is a key aspect of their humanity that the government is trying to take away from them.
Yeah.
So you have the broad and the individual, and yet they're both about what it means to be an Indigenous person in the United States.
Yeah. Pixie's life and her doings are a kind of specific individual example of how we live.
Right.
And it's an appealing way of living.
Well, then, and also what happens to her sister is also predictive of what happened, it sounds like, to people in tribes that were terminated.
Yeah, that is true.
Tribes only have agency because of their collective nature, right?
Yeah.
And to strip that from them means that you can have their resources or sell them off, or they can be bought because there's no collective strength.
Yeah. This kind of strength in unity is apparent in one of the more interesting scenes in the book. There's a character named Wood Mountain who is a Chippewa boxer who's Pixie's own age. She also, by the way, has an admirer in Wood Mountain's coach, Lloyd Barnes, who's a white man living on the reservation, and he teaches at the high school. And Patrice isn't sure she wants either one of them, and she makes that pretty clear to Barnes, at which point she recalls some of her mother's admirable advice. Patrice thought another thing her mother said was definitely true. You never really knew a man until you told him you didn't love him. That's when his true ugliness, submerged to charm you, might surface.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something I say, and I'm talking about myself as well. The way to see what somebody is like is to see how they act when they don't get what they want.
Yeah.
And for women and men, that's that Margaret Atwood saying that men are afraid women will laugh at them and women are afraid men will kill them.
Yeah.
And that's a good line.
It's a good line.
Because it's true. Like, if you tell them you don't love them and you live, it may be decent.
Yeah, but I got off the track a little bit. But Wood Mountain, I wanted to mention, this boxer. One of the ways that Thomas is trying to raise money to get the group to go to Washington,
Right.
the delegation to go to Washington, is he arranges this big boxing match between Wood Mountain and his nemesis, the Anglo champion named Joe Wablazinski.
Yes, I remember that boxing match.
And all the Native American people are there in unison supporting Wood Mountain.
Right.
And there's a pride in seeing if he's going to be the victor.
Right.
So there's that unity
Right.
in the whole group.
Right. Well, it also is something that can confront American sensibilities because Americans are so individualistic, right? Like our kind of ethos is pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and I did it myself and I want all the credit, and people who live in real community with each other are probably strange and frightening to people who believe in the power of the individual, right?
Yeah. The reservation is part of that character, and terminating it
Right.
would be terminating their way of living.
Right.
And we see the way of living in Patrice and the things she does, and we see it, especially there's this love and intimacy with the natural world.
Right. Which is another thing that can be strange and frightening.
Yeah. There's a great paragraph, and these kinds of things go throughout the book, but the sun was low in the sky, casting slant regal light. As they plodded along, the golden radiance intensified until it seemed to emanate from every feature of the land. Trees, brush, snow, hills. She couldn't stop looking. The road led past frozen sloughs that bristled and scorched reeds. Clutches of red willow burned. The fans and whips of branches glowed alive. Winter clouds formed patterns against the fierce gray sky. Scales, looped ropes, the bones of fish. The world was tender with significance.
Gives you chills.
Tender with significance. That word tender, it's just...
because it's also, it means, to me, it also means the world is vulnerable. And that, the people who live conscious of the earth and their interaction with it understand that, right?
Yeah.
That you have to, like the way they protected the buffalo herds, and they hunted them, but they were careful to make sure that they didn't, hunt them to the point where there wouldn't be enough, right?
Yeah.
Like there is a vulnerability in the natural world that we know now.
Yeah.
And that word tender is exactly, that excerpt shows you why her poetry is worth reading as well, because she has such a facility with words and with language and with meaning, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Awesome. Oh, thank you for reminding me of that novel. I know you love Louise Erdrich. We, before we go on to why somebody might not like this, I can't help but think about when we went to her bookstore in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
She owns a bookstore called Birch Bark Books. I think the children's book is called The Birch Bark House.
Yeah. Yeah.
And her bookstore near Lake of the Isles in South Minneapolis is called Birch Bark Books. And it has a lot of native arts, and it has all of her books, and a lot of them are signed. So if you want a signed Louise Erdrich book, you can just stroll into Birch Bark Books and ask them for one. And you can, I think, encounter her there signing books sometimes.
Yeah.
She comes in when she likes. So
Yeah, so it might be a surprise.
She wasn't there when we were there, but we had already met her, so we didn't want to be selfish. But there's a lovely children's section there too. And another thing they have there that I was really struck by was the Native American language learning materials, flashcards and things like that. So it's really a rich cultural stop, and I highly recommend it. It's a lovely bookstore. So
yeah,
it's a great stop when you're in Minneapolis. Other than don't go to the place with the dog collars. Go to
you don't want to go there.
Go to Birch Bark.
I mentioned that there's some things that are lighter about Patrice's
Yes.
adventures. There's when she first gets to Minneapolis, this guy kind of picks her up and basically kidnaps her at the train station and brings her to this kind of bar, and they want her to wear this rubber suit and play Babe the Blue Ox swimming.
Yeah, I remember the swimming thing. I was like, I have this vague memory of swimming in an aquarium.
Yeah,
What?
it's like a giant aquarium, and the people who are there can watch her through the glass swimming and doing these things. And Wood Mountain actually goes to this place. He gets into town and he wants something to eat and drink, I guess. And so he goes to this place, and there she is.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he ends up helping her. But that's a fairly funny ass part of it.
Yes.
Another thing, one more thing that's
Enjoyable.
I think, enjoyable and also meaningful is there's a character named Millie Cloud. Mm-hmm. She is the daughter of one of the Turtle Mountain Chippewa men, but her mother is white and lives in Minneapolis, and she's apparently always lived with her mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember her now.
And she's a graduate student at the University of Minnesota.
Yep.
And she's getting her graduate degree in economics.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually spent some time on the reservation, like a year or so earlier, examining the economic conditions of the reservation. And it's exactly the information that Thomas thinks he's going to need to convince
to keep
Congress that they shouldn't be terminated. So he gets her to come with them to join them to go to Washington. And she is an outsider coming into the reservation, but she does have a connection through her father, and she is, half.
But it also
Chippewa.
reiterates the strength of the community.
Yeah.
And that the community members may not be people you think of right away.
Yeah.
But when you expand, right, or you allow those people to participate in the community, they strengthen the community.
Yeah. But if it weren't for that opportunity for Millie,
right,
she would never have known what it was like to be a Native American.
Right.
And there's a great paragraph which kind of shows her conflicting emotions and her wanting to identify with these people. It was something about being an Indian and the government. The government acted like Indians owed them something. But wasn't it the other way around? There is, earlier on, there's one of the guys who comes to one of the meetings that Thomas is in, expresses himself by saying, what we get from the government is basically rent for the entire United States.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that
I think
checks out.
That's kind of what she's thinking there. The government wasn't the other way around. She hadn't been educated in a boarding school or educated in any way about Indians. From her Catholic schooling, she would never have known about Indians at all, except as a bunch of heathens who were vanquished and conveniently died off. She'd hardly known her family and was as assimilated as an Indian could be, and people hardly ever recognized her as an Indian. So why did she firmly see herself as an Indian? Why did she value this? Why did she not long for the anonymity of whiteness, the ease of it, the pleasures of fitting in? When people found out why she looked a little different, they would often say, "I never thought of you as an Indian," and it would be said as a compliment, but it felt more like an insult.
Well, that reminds me of our episode from last week.
Yeah.
Because you have Joe Christmas with the one drop, like, who is he?
Yeah.
What's his identity?
Yeah.
And what it does, identity obviously, ideally, is self-emanating, right? You identify.
Yeah.
But of course, it isn't that easy because society pressures you, right?
Yeah.
And she's grappling in that paragraph with how does she see herself versus the conversation with how society wants her to behave or be seen,
Yeah.
or what they take from her behavior and her identity.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Yeah. And she's very interested in Pixie. She sees her as this beautiful, what she would like to be, I think.
Because her native identity is so established.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
Why might someone not like this novel?
well, Mormons might not like it because the Mormon church does not come off well in this novel.
Right. Right.
And, if you don't like Indians, I guess you wouldn't like this novel.
What about any of the writing style or the
I think
craft choices?
If you like a well-told novel and a well-told historical novel, and are interested at all in the way Indians live or lived in the 1950s,
right.
It's something that you would like.
Right. I think historical fiction-wise, it's just one of the best I've ever read because she is so great at character development and, imagining really complicated people.
Yeah. So. And the people are just very real.
Yeah. Yeah. You can really imagine them.
Yeah, you can become absorbed in the characters that
Absolutely.
You meet and think of them as real.
Yeah.
From the factory to the boxing ring to the underwater dancing. We believe this world.
Yeah.
And when magical realist aspects occur, which they do in this novel sometimes, Thomas has conversations with a long dead boyhood friend named Roderick.
I forgot that.
And he even has a kind of mystical vision that he experiences when he thinks he's freezing to death. He's locked himself by accident out of the factory where he's the night watchman. And he has a vision of angelic spirits, filmy and brightly indistinct in the sky. And Jesus Christ is among them, who look just like the others, he says.
Getting trapped outside in northern North Dakota in the winter is no joke.
Not a bit.
No joke.
But those things seem real. And one really interesting thing about that kind of mystical vision that he has is that he had read about Joseph Smith, who had a similar kind of vision. So he becomes sort of the...
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we've turned the what you might not like into what is so great about this book.
Yeah.
It's hard not to like. I don't know. If you like novels, I think you're going to like this novel. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you don't like novels, this is not the novel for you. All right. So let's turn our attention to the quantitative segment of the program in which you rank this novel against the others that we have talked about. We build the list from week to week. So how does The Night Watchman stack up?
I'm going to put this at number 29.
Oh, I thought it'd be higher than that because you j'adore.
Well, there's a lot of really good books on this list. In fact, there's 100 really good books on this list.
Or there will be. Okay, so what's before it and what's after it?
So it's right after Nickel Boys.
Oh, interesting.
And right before Wolf Hall.
So kind of, you've got a little pocket of historical fiction there.
That's true.
Cultural clashing historical fiction.
True.
Wolf Hall has, clashes.
There's some clashes there.
All right. Well, that was really interesting. Thank you for doing that one. I really enjoyed that novel, and I always enjoy reading her writing. She's just brilliant author.
Yeah.
a brilliant author about Americans.
Yes. So
awesome.
now I believe it must be time for Chaos Reader.
All right. Please hold my coffee cup. I am just going to do a little check-in on Star of the Sea by Joseph O'Connor, which I have been reading. I've been talking about it. I'm still reading it at this time in the space-time continuum. I'm over halfway. I'm probably 2/3. And it's just I'm really enjoying it. It has a lot of characters. The novel goes back in time to the characters' kind of backstories before they're on the ship, and, their kind of interrelated history before they are on this ship, the Star of the Sea, to leave the famine in Ireland and go to the United States, and different economic classes of people and their histories in Ireland and the UK.
Is this your down and dirty summary?
No, I don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Anyway, so I'm still, and the way it's presented is like there's always a ship's log at the beginning of the chapter, like where they are in the ocean, the captain's comments on that day's journey, and then it may follow some character back in time to before they got on the boat or the ship, and then there's also drama on the ship, and it's just like I said, I'm probably 2/3 through, and I can tell I want to find out what happens, but I think I'm going to miss them when I'm done with the book. And that's always a good sign of a good book. So, so far, I recommend the novel Star of the Sea by Joseph O'Connor. So,
okay, then.
It's Chaos Reader today.
All right.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank our producing sensei, Jerry Bruno. We say it every week, and we are sincere. We really do value. We would never have been able to do it without him. Helping us get started and then helping us.
We can barely do it with him.
We can barely do it with him, but we sure couldn't do it without him. And this week I'd like to thank our dog, Sylvia, for sleeping quietly while we record. That is her strength. She leads with her strength. But you never know. She's only 1.5 years, and sometimes she's not as cooperative. So, and of course, most of all, we want to thank our listeners and viewers. Please share our podcast and YouTube with others and interact with it on whatever platform that you are looking at. Comment on Spotify or rate it on Apple and whatever platform, YouTube, etc. That just helps us. And we love, honestly, to interact with you. So if you'd like to email us or make a comment, we'd like to see you there. So.
All right.
And we will see, or you can hear us next week between
the covers.